so thank you. This is the Black Hippie Lounge. I'm your host, Chanel, and today we have a guest, Anisa. And so definitely very happy to have her here. We connected through TikTok. She gave me a shout out, which was really cool. And then from there, she introduced me to TikTok basically because I had no idea what it was about. So I'm definitely grateful for that. And she has a lot of great content. And yeah, she's hit me up also on Instagram before too. So we've kind of connected and we just kind of was trying to schedule a time to be able to do this interview. And this is like the perfect time. So I'm very excited. So, Anisa, welcome. And can you tell listeners a little bit about yourself and how you discovered the Black Hippie Lounge?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me again.
No
And so my name's Anisa, and I'm a content creator, dancer, small business owner, and also I model as well. I discovered Black Hippie Lounge actually through the My Virgo Friend podcast. I think Chi had you as a guest.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing like your conversation with her was very insightful. So from there, I kind of was like, oh, let me see what her podcast is about as well. So
yeah,
I kind of came about this podcast.
Okay, cool. Yeah, she's really great. All right, so you said you're a dancer, a model, and a creator, as well as the founder of Creative Dance Outlet. Can you share with listeners what influenced your passions and creative background?
So for me, I've pretty much always been into the arts from a young age. I was in dance majority of my life. I did theater and all these different things as well. And I pretty much grew a passion for creative expression. So I just always loved being able to pretty much tell a story visually and artistically. So creativity for sure has been like a really huge part of my life, and it's an expression of who I am as a person. So that's how I kind of came into this whole thing.
Nice. I really like your I looked up the Creative Dance Outlet. It was really cool. And then just like your TikToks alone, like you have you can typically tell you're a creator and creative. So I like your stuff. No problem. So can you talk a little bit about the Creative Dance Outlet and your journey with becoming the founder?
Yeah, so I started dance when I was 5 years old. So I've been involved in like different studios growing up, learning ballet, jazz, hip hop, musical theater. And from there I did competition in high school, and then I went on to pursue a minor in dance at university.
Okay.
After college, I danced professionally at doing different gigs in Orlando, like in the entertainment industry, and also did like a few teaching jobs, working at different studios, and also at different performing arts schools as well.
Okay.
So you can see as dance pretty much been like a huge, like part of my life.
Yeah.
And with all my experiences that I've had, I noticed that a lot of people would mention to me that they really want to learn how to dance, but they find classes sometimes intimidating, and they don't really feel comfortable dancing in front of other people. So me being someone who's kind of like shy, I knew exactly what they were going through, and so like that, I basically got inspired to create my business to where I create a safe space for people to feel comfortable dancing, but more so in a private setting.
I love that. And so can you tell listeners where your organization is?
So it's pretty much online. So I teach private virtual classes just through like Zoom. And then also I live in Orlando, so I teach at my local gym and their studio. Okay,
cool. So what is your mission with the Creative Dance Outlet?
My mission is to create a community for individuals to have, a safe environment for creative movement and self-expression through dance. Since I am from Orlando, and Orlando is really big on entertainment, I feel like a lot of the classes are catered to people who are more so on the professional level, not people who kind of just want to take classes just for fun.
Okay.
And so with that, I feel like my mission is to help people who just have the ability to learn dance with all the extra pressure.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. So how has teaching in the Creative Dance Outlet allowed you to maintain your creativity as well as have a better understanding of who you are and what your purpose is?
I think my overall mission and purpose is just to help inspire people to become their higher selves. And I feel like through my teaching and my content and just my other creative pursuits, I feel like I try my best to just leave a positive imprint on the world. So I feel like I'm really living through my mission through my creative projects. So,
what's your favorite form of dance?
Jazz and hip hop.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice. Why jazz and hip hop? Just you like the music, or?
Well, I'm a huge fan of jazz for sure, and hip hop is something that came very natural to me.
Okay.
Like I didn't get strong training in it until I was in college, but I've always been like naturally good at it.
Nice.
So it's my favorite.
Nice. So how do you maintain all your social media / creative content platforms, and what keeps you motivated to do so?
Well, most of my content, I feel like just an authentic expression of like who I am. So creating content on different platforms feels more like a documentation of my life, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So I'm not really super organized when it comes to like creating content. I pretty much create when I feel called to.
Okay.
And what really keeps me motivated to do so is not only like, you know, my love for just simply creating, but also the impact that I feel like I have on my community.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, at least for me, what I've seen, you have a lot of content on TikTok and Instagram, which is really cool. I feel like that takes a lot of dedication and work, you know. Just making a TikTok alone probably takes a lot of work. So definitely keep up with that. And I feel like your content is not all the same too, which is really cool. Because it's like, you know, like some people just post the same type of things. It's like, I feel like it's something different. Sometimes you're dancing, and sometimes you're just, you know, doing a voiceover or something. So it's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And I feel like with that as well, it's like one of my goals is to really express that in my content, because a lot of people tell you that you have to like niche down and like pick one thing and just speak at that. And it's like, no, there's like, we're all multifaceted human beings. Like we can do multiple things, and there's nothing wrong with that. Right.
No, that makes sense. So you are from Florida. Have you lived anywhere else, or you just stayed always in Florida?
I've pretty much been in Florida my entire life, but when I was 8 years old, I moved to the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
4 years, and then I moved back when I was 12.
Okay. Is that where your family's from?
Yes.
Nice. Okay. So how do you feel your work has and can influence young Black students today?
I think what I do influences the next generation by just being the representation. I feel like that is lacking in this type of community for sure. I feel like I've never been the type of person, like I said, just fit into one box, because I'm so passionate about multiple things. So I definitely want to show people that, you know, you can do any and everything that your heart desires, you know, not have to just stick to just one thing and just settle.
Right. No, that makes sense, because it's like a lot of times I feel there's a focus on like hip hop and R&B, and like, you know, there's other genres of music that, you know, we can be a part of and utilize. I like that you said jazz, because I feel like that's something that not a lot of people probably listen to or are exposed to. So, but I know that it's great. It's great music, definitely for dance. So I think that it's great to have someone like you who's in that position to be able to expose kids to that type of music too. Especially with dance, you know. And like you said, I like how you said it helps people who might not be so confident in themselves or secure with themselves. Yeah, especially as kids, right? Because kids are just growing. They're trying to figure out who they are. And I feel like a lot of the times dance is definitely a way to find out who you are and also just express who you are too, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I was when I was younger. I was very just much in my shell, never really like had that many friends, but I felt like whenever I danced, I felt like I was expressing myself through that art form.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a passion, right? Yeah. And I feel like that kind of can open the door for other forms of art too, for people to get exposed to as well.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's really cool. So you are a hit on TikTok. How do your friends and family or those who you know react to your videos, and how has the platform helped your career?
I think overall social media has helped my career by just giving me different opportunities to just work with different creative and collaborate. I've been connected with so many like amazing people, and I've been able to work with like photographers for like modeling, and connect with other content creators for brand campaigns and just other creative projects that I feel like if I didn't post on social media, I would have never came across these type of opportunities.
Yeah.
So
no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I think definitely social media has helped me put myself more out there and really see what's out there for me.
No, that makes sense. I feel like just this generation, this time is like, it is all about the social media. And it's like, yeah, there might be some not so great parts of social media, but the good part is like, it is a way for a lot of people to become exposed and get their content out and get, you know, connected with people that they probably wouldn't have connected with some other kind of way, right? Especially when you're saying you get to collaborate and work for different content creators and stuff like that. So I think that that's really cool. What is your favorite form of social media to use?
Right now it's TikTok. I think TikTok is more authentic, not only as like just the organic reach that you can get from TikTok, which is I feel like it's just more catered to people who don't care to show up as perfect as you do with other platforms. And it's like, I really like how you can, you know, show a story just through like a voiceover or through a song, and it's like short form content, but you're still getting your point across, versus like, you know, Instagram, where it's mostly people are trying to show like a highlight reel of their lives, and it's like the best version of themselves, and I feel like it's not as genuine and authentic as different platforms.
No, I definitely get that. I agree. I feel like Instagram is definitely all about, like, not all about, but a lot of times it's about flashy and just showing, you know, the good, right? And so with that in mind, how do you keep yourself grounded as you continue to grow your, you know, your company and your different forms of art that you do?
I think definitely just taking time for myself. So whether that be like meditating or journaling or just going on solo dates and whatnot, whatever that helps keep me grounded and make sure that I'm being as present as possible is what helps me navigate this type of like industry.
No, that makes sense. Yeah, I like that you said meditate. So what's your favorite, or what's your go-to form of self-care?
I think just unplugging from everything.
Yeah.
Like escapism, that makes sense. But just turning off my phone, connecting with myself. So I love reading different like books on like spirituality or just different stories and whatnot. Or just taking myself out to get like my favorite meal, spending time in nature. It's really unplugging from like the digital world is what really helps me navigate like that self-care aspect of myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Especially if you grew up in a time where social media was just like the thing, you know? I feel like the younger generations, like that's kind of what they've always been used to. So they're not really even, they don't even know what it's like to not have, you know, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff, you know. There was a time before that where none of that, you know, existed. So I think it's definitely important to, like you said, unplug and kind of just enjoy what's around you too. So what advice can you give to listeners who want to share their creative passions but also feel the pressure to work a traditional 9-to-5 job? How can they work on both?
I think my advice would just be to be intentional. So figure out why you're doing what you're doing. So for me, when I first started, I was just doing it because, like I say, it's a creative expression of myself. So when you love something and you make time for it, I feel like God is going to make things happen for you and bring abundance into your life. As long as you're consistent, like something's going to like eventually happen for you to where you're going to be successful. And I think when it comes to working a 9-to-5, it's all about just time management. So I know from experience that working a full-time job is time-consuming and it can sometimes make you feel like robotic, but be intentional about putting some time away for yourself using a calendar, a journal, a notebook, whatever you need to help like manage your time better to juggle both at the same time.
No, that makes sense. Definitely, you know, do what you have to do with work, you know, but you also still have to remember what your purpose is and like what you're trying to achieve, right? And sometimes that just involves you having to do a little bit more hustle. And like you said, time management too. Making sure you make time for yourself and your passions. And so I definitely had another question that I thought of when you were talking about it. Oh yeah, that's what my question. So what do you see yourself doing 3-5 years from now?
3-5 years? Like, whoa, okay. definitely see myself just being like an advocate and like a leader for women of color in like the digital media space. Because I feel like I said, there's like a lack of representation when it comes to being in this type of industry. I definitely see myself still like creating for sure.
Okay.
I still see myself with my business, teaching dance as well on the side, and just doing things that make me happy, you know, just inspiring and leading and just taking things day by day.
Nice. And so do you want to stay in Florida, or you eventually see yourself?
No, I did not see myself in Florida. Yeah, I've been actively searching for where I can see myself, like, I guess, thriving or just slowing down. So I definitely don't see myself in Florida. It's longer.
Yeah. No, I get that. No, that's great. And I think that, you know, even though like 3 to 5 years, it seems like a long time, right? But I feel like it's also good to kind of check in with yourself and try to think about like, okay, where am I right now? What are my goals? And what do I need to do to get there, you know, or what connections do I need to do? Because like you're saying, you don't want to stay in Florida. So it's like, I'm sure you think about, you know, what steps do I need to take to get to where I want to be, right? And so I just think that it's kind of going back to what you said about being intentional. I think that especially as a creative, you have to be super intentional, just because, you know, I feel like in society today, yeah, like content creators and being artistic and stuff is more accepted than it probably was before, but it's still not necessarily viewed as like a traditional job. Or, you know, a lot of times you'll hear the older generation saying like, oh, well, how are you gonna make it off of that? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like social media and just the times that we're in has definitely opened the door for more people to be able to make a living off of it, but it's still, I think it still has a ways to go. So it's like when you see people like you who still stay dedicated to it, it's definitely inspiring, because a lot of times I'm sure there are people who are creative, but they kind of just gave up on their dream, right? Because they feel like they're not making it at a certain time or something, and they just they still have to eat and they still have to make it. So I think that when someone like you who's made it work for you, right? Because you've created your own business where you can still take care of yourself, but you're still being able to do your passion. I think that's really great. And I'm sure it's definitely inspiring to your students and just like anybody, right? Because like you said, representation matters, and seeing someone like you already making a way for yourself, that's really great. So,
yeah. And also for anyone listening, because with me, it's like, I don't have the biggest following on any platforms at all, but I still get opportunities to work just because of the fact that I just love, you know, creating. So I feel like I said before, once you come from a place of like love and not fear, like God's gonna make a way for you out of nowhere. So
yeah. And can you maybe expand a little bit more on what you said about coming from a place of love and not fear? Like, how does that work for you?
Yeah, I think anything that's operating out of fear is going to be pretty much ego-driven. So you're going to be operating out of lack and not abundance. So it's like you're going to be attracting things that you don't really want because you're coming out of a place of fear and not love. But when you're coming out of like love, you're going to attract abundance, you're going to attract peace and all these different things. So we want to make sure that everybody's tapping into yourself and ask yourself like important questions to know like, okay, is this decision that I'm making, am I doing this out of love or is it fear? I think you have to yourself those questions and you can really figure out like how to navigate your life and what is best suited for you as you move forward.
Yeah, I like that. Because I think it's definitely important in any type of sense just to know who you are, what you want for yourself, and then being able to make decisions on, you know, the type of environments that you need to be in, the people that you need to be around, and your path, right? So I definitely think that, you know, like you said, moving in love versus fear, it's just definitely bring you peace and abundance, and just, you know, you'll have that confidence to know that you're on the right path and you're going to get everything that you deserve and that you want for yourself. So I think that's great.
Yeah, and that's with everything as well too, not just, you know, career. It's also with like relationships and friendships or just like money, like everything should be coming out of like love and not fear.
Yeah. And so how do you stay in that, like stay in love and out of fear and out of ego? Because I feel like sometimes it's hard, our ego to stay out of that.
Yeah, I think checking in with yourself. A lot of the times when you ask yourself certain questions like, why am I going after this certain job? Am I doing it because I actually love this industry, or is it because I'm scared to not have enough money, or I'm scared that, X, Y, and Z, whatnot. And then versus, I want to like create this thing for a YouTube video to help inspire someone and help someone feel like they're not alone. And you can kind of tell when it's like out of love versus like lack. So I think just asking yourself questions is what's going to help you figure out what is love and what's fear.
That's true. Because I feel like you definitely can tell when certain content is just someone's just making stuff, a bunch of it to get money, versus like they actually just do it because they want to help someone, or that's just what they love to do, right? That makes sense. So can you share your next projects and where listeners can find you?
Yeah, so as of lately, I've been getting more into production. So I've been learning a lot as a camera operator and learning a lot about like film and television and just like live broadcasts. So I just hope to continue on this path and find opportunities, in the media space for sure. But if you're interested in following me on my journey, you can follow me on Instagram at NISSY_X3. And then my TikTok is ASTOLDBYANISA, which is as well by Anisa.
Nice.
And then you can follow me on my business page if you're interested in taking private dance lessons, and it's just going to be at Creative Dance Outlet on Instagram. Okay.
And I will post it under the posting as well when I post the episode. Okay. And so I just thought of another extra question too when you were reading that off. Oh, for the film, right? So do you see yourself making a movie? Like, what do you want to do in that? Like,
yeah, I actually do. I see myself, well, right now I'm like in the beginner stage, so I'm just learning about how to work with cameras and whatnot, but I definitely do see myself maybe producing one day and directing a story for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I could see that, just because you already have the creative apart from doing all the TikToks, right? And how you said sometimes TikTok is like a story, so I think that you'd be great with the film too. So do you have any closing remarks just for listeners who might have just discovered you, or like through the podcast, or any just closing words that you want to say, or any questions for me?
Yeah, for closing remarks, I would just say to just find your own way. So I believe that there isn't just one way to success. As long as you just keep doing what you love to do, like God's gonna make a way for you. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah, well, that makes sense. All right, so I will leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me tonight and giving such great advice. I think that a lot of people are going to resonate with the things that you talked about tonight. So definitely keep doing your thing. And I'm looking forward to seeing, what movie you create. Be like, I knew her.
We don't know.
Yes. It'd be great. No, I think that you have a great personality in your spirit alone. Like, you're just very mellow and chill, but you also can tell like you're truly passionate about, the content that you create. So definitely keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, no problem. Let me see, 1 second. Meditate, manifest, invest in you. Join me on my spiritual journey as I elevate myself and like-minded listeners to a higher level, mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for listening. This is Black Hippie Lounge, and I am your host, Chanel.